Well, welcome everybody to Race Spec Esports Euro Tuesday Elite Series race. We are out in the beautiful Suzuka circuit and getting going with our ninth round of the season. This is season 5, and after 8 rounds, it's Armchair Bike who leads the way in our championship with 105 points, but just 6 behind is Fioretto in the Red Bull. Instant and Jack also close behind, followed by Marin, Garbage Man and Prime in 7th place. In terms of constructors, Aston Martin are way out there in the lead right now on 166 points, with McLaren on 127, Red Bull 113 and Ferrari on 108. Apologies for this slightly late start. A technical issue meant that my stream stopped before it had even begun. But you're very welcome. My name is Webbo. After missing last week, unfortunately, due to other circumstances, I couldn't control. I'm back and ready to commentate on a fabulous classic F1 track, and we're looking for some good old committed racing from the drivers. The first laps are just beginning, so you haven't missed much at all. Alex is out there for the Alfa Romeo team on medium tyres, the only medium runner on these first runs, so feeling brave tonight. And it just into the hairpin right now, and had to deal with a little bit of traffic surprising him there towards the end. But now into Spoon Corner, and on the way out of it, sorry, excuse me, yes, Spoon. Now this is so-called the backstretch, and we'll go through the fabulous 130R, which is only really a struggle of a corner if you're following another car or you are in bad weather or tyre conditions. Alex immediately up there in pole on a 129.0, followed by Marin. Tommy just in with Instant and Alex. We ride with him 5th, followed by then Rockin. I think Libnow is on a lap, but just ahead of him on the track is that Stitch, or his teammate. Stitch just coming into the pits, so it looks like it's Radical closing the lap out. I think he's got a Alpine just ahead of him. Yeah, that's the Alpine of Antivalo. And it's Radicals in the pits with an issue. So let's see if we can't find. I've got a slight problem joining the session tonight. I've got no sound, so I don't know if I'm going to hear anything at any point tonight. But there we go. Across the line then, a very poor time from Garbage Man. We saw there was a problem at the start of the lap. Libnow is just going through the S's, and now this is Dunlop, the corner, a very long left-hander, then into, of course, the famous Degner turns, famous for many different reasons, but not least the fact that it's a very difficult series of corners to get just right. Very narrow, low grip, old-fashioned circuit here. We go into the hairpin with the camber. That's the end of the session for Libnow, unfortunately. Out of the session, oversteer on traction, out of the hairpin, very easily done. There's a nasty bump in there where the car will often ground out. And our first victim of this treacherous circuit, as Drax, that I have not commentated on before, goes P3 in the Haas. So Drax surprising me, at least, with Prime up there, right up at the top in a 28.939. So we'll try and catch a lap with Prime shortly. Todd is running a lap. He's just over his time, sufficiently over for him to come on into the pits. Not happy with how that lap was progressing. I think Antival is probably doing the same thing. Looks like we're going to have a nice dry qualifying session to sort out the order, followed by a horrifically wet race around Japan. Looks like Garbage Man slowing on this lap. Doesn't look particularly quick. Radical's off in turn 1, and we'll ride with Garbage Man for now, but he's not going particularly quickly. What about Alex? Is half a second over and has invalidated. We'll look at Jack. So I often say we're spoilt with a lot of passion here in the Euro Series Tuesday group. Everybody going very slowly. I guess this is just the warm-up laps. That looks like presumably Michiel is on the attack. We'll get a time shortly in the first sector. No, it's not any good compared to his previous times. So just on the hunt now for a driver actually on a fast lap. Fioretto. Let's see what he has got on the way through Dunlop here. We'll get an idea as he comes out of Dunlop and approaches Degner 1. No, he's also slower, sadly. So, as I say, looking for a driver here on a lap. Welcome to everyone joining us on the stream. If you're new to my streams and you enjoy what you see, Antivalo, it's gone a little bit quicker there. P9 next to his teammate. If you enjoy what you see or hear tonight, you can follow me on Twitter at WeboRed5. But make sure you say hello. Tell us who you are here to support, or if you're one of our drivers, let us know as well. But cars just on the in-between laps, different setup at the moment. Looks like Stitch is in sector 1, just heading into turn 1. We'll join Stitch. I'll keep an eye out for our leaders coming out again. Alex Pato is out and just on an outlap. He's obviously very good around here with that first banker lap, but no one else in the 28s apart from Prime. Stitch then getting the car not comfortably to the apex through Dunlop, but trying to keep the speed up. That's a absolutely scrubbed lap now. Doing well just to keep it on the black stuff and away from danger, but that's it for that lap for Stitch. Not really worth watching him. We do at least get to see the white Red Bulls in Japan in action, at least on the game. If we were robbed of that opportunity in the flesh, but Chester in the Red Bull has got his passion teammate up into P7, Fioretto at the moment, but Chester trying to put a lap together, and we will see drivers fall off the circuit from time to time. Just getting through Spoon, a correction on the way through Spoon 1 for Chester. So Pato has started his lap, and we'll join him any second. Just see where Chester's time gets him. A 1:12, mini sector 2. Radicals out of the session. Chester throwing the car across the Casio triangle. Chicane and across the line, a 29.773 is good enough for P8. Let's go see what Alex is up to. Just closing out his lap. Looks like he's faster. Looks like he's a lot faster and up to pole. 28.424 for Alex. Much better improvement that time. Great stuff from Alex Pato. Drax is just beginning his lap. I'll just ride with Michiel for a sector and see where he is, where he's strong. He's got to navigate Spoon first. And it's just ahead of 130R that we get the next sector time for him. And Prime is out as well. So Drax and Prime definitely ones to watch here. What about Michiel? As he approaches the sector 2, he's way over. So Drax is about a 10th over his best time. So it's not amazing. Let's hang with Prime, who's under his first sector, just getting the car wrestled into Degner 2. And then that tricky braking area of the hairpin. Although in these 2021 cars with the downforce performance, you can wait until the car has straightened up before having to brake, which has not always been the case in previous years, and especially in other Formula and classic car setups, and especially in the wet as well. The track will be a completely different animal in the wet for our drivers. Prime powering through Spoon comfortably. We'll get an update on his sector. Oh, he's not down by much, so he's going to need to monster this final chicane. It's all in the final chicane or nothing for Prime. Tries to take as much as possible out of the final part of the chicane, stretches to the line, gets a 1/10 improvement, but is still 4/10 away from Alex. And yeah, looks like pole for Alex so far by a good margin up there for him. The track will evolve a little bit further, but it won't be dramatic, as Fioretto unfortunately invalidates on his next lap. So we've got an Alex Pato and an Alex for CRL here, and they're both in the same team. So Alex in an Alpha is all we need to remember, I think. Alex unfortunately spins going through Dunlop. Garbage Man is way off his time at the moment, just heading into the pits. We haven't watched one of the McLarens closely since Libnau went out. That's Purple Snack. Let's see what his time comes through as. So we head to the line, taking a wide line to the line here. Purple Snack slightly over his current best. Stitch says he's got the wrong setup on. Yeah, unfortunately, I do seem to have a problem with the sound on the stream, and it's not coming through to the stream either. I did have issues, I'm afraid, just getting the game set up. Let me see if I can't fix that for you. No, I don't see anything wrong here in my setup. Yeah, my apologies, guys. Whoa, okay, we're back. I think we've got sound suddenly. Brilliant, excellent. Okay, well, they're just trying to solve it, and we look like we've got it back. I don't know. I didn't do anything different to how I always do it. Marin in that melee. Unfortunately, we've missed Marin's amazing pole position. 28.334. He made an 8/10 improvement that time, and that's a great performance from Marin. Always up there in the mix by the end of qualifying at least. Michel then is on a lap right now and progressing. Michel going a little bit quicker here. Could be good enough to get himself up to P4 at the moment as Marin goes round. Michel has got a distraction of a car just ahead of him heading into Spoon. Should be far enough away as long as it doesn't start to slow too much to prepare his lap. Oh, just slightly overspeed through Spoon 2, but held on, gripping that wheel tightly. 3/10 now. He's built a good second sector, and we go down into the Casio triangle. It's looking good so far. That looks smooth. Just keep to the right, and we sprint for the line. Will this be good enough to go up a couple of places? It's P4 so far for Michel. Alex and Prime are on their way out of the pits, so we'll try and find what's going on with those guys shortly. Anybody else finishing up? What about Rockin? Rockin is going a little bit faster, not a lot, but a bit. Prime in the Mercedes, just ahead on track, but hasn't started his time. Started his time lap. Probably the final runs now. 1 minute to go in Q1, in qualifying overall, I should say. Not a lot of time to get out. So it's all or nothing now for the drivers. What about Rockin? Where there's this test sector time, leave him. It's not going to set the world alight this time out. Merin's gone from the session. I don't think he is going to take any further part. Prime on his final run then. Currently P3. Not a bad place to start the race, but I'm sure he'd rather be right at the front if he can help it. Antivalo, Radicals, also gone. Todd's out. Won't take any further part. Libanau will definitely start from the back. And Prime on the way into Degna. He's up on his time. He's right on the limit of grip. That looked uncomfortable between the Degnas, but he's survived it. As we go down to the hairpin, there's a car up front. Fairly difficult line through the hairpin. That didn't look sort of going to plan A, and this looks like a nightmare up ahead for Prime. He's just got to focus on his braking zone, hope that the car gets out of his way into Spoon. That's really disruptive from Jack. That's really all over the place, but Jack's in a hurry to finish off his lap. Prime won't be impressed with that one. He might have got a small toe, but it won't be much. He's over his time. You can see what that run cost him from Jack ahead. It wouldn't surprise me if Prime was feeling a little bit badly affected by that drive from Jack. Prime then for the line. Anything doing from the final sector? No, it's a P3 for Prime, but Alex has an opportunity to try and better it. He's just going through Spoon right now. I'm not sure. I believe that sector time is 2 seconds slower. He's using 5th on the way out of Spoon for grip. And we go to the line. No, it is a cool down lap for Alex. That's not going to be any better. Tommy, similar. And I think that is our qualifying session over and done with. Tommy is way off his time, so it looks like it's going to be Marin. Not a surprise to see him right up there with Alex, Pato, Prime and Michel. Drax, Tommy, Todd, and then the passion trio of Instant, Furetto and Jester, with Antivalo, Radical, Alex, Rockin, Garbage Man, Jack, Purple Snack, Stitch and Libanau making out our grid. Lots of chat coming in. Someone saying here that Furetto asking what did the McLaren do. Purple Snack saying he looked like the car was his car was ghosted. But there's Merin in the Williams, pole position from Alex, Pato, Prime, Michel and Drax. You can see why it's the Euro Series. Look at these different flags. Tommy, Todd, Instant, Furetto, Chester, Antovalo, Radical, Alex, Rockin, Garbage Man, Jack, Purple Snack, Stitch and Libanau. Not a Brit to be seen, and that has to be a record for me to have an entire field without a British driver. I'm not complaining though. More than happy to watch friends from all over the place race their hearts out for us here for our entertainment. Merin giving it a little bit of chat here. He said he messed up his last run, which was 2/10 faster than he'd been before. I'm not hearing from Prime. I'm hearing a little bit from Alex Pato. He's saying well done to Merin. Alex, the other Alex YT, said he bottled his last lap, but all good. And let's see what the conditions bring us, because the cars that were quick at the start will not necessarily quick in the dry will not necessarily be the cars that are quick in the wet, and it looks pretty damn wet out there, doesn't it? The very non-Japanese looking Marshalls haven't got any headwear on or their hoods up, but the track looks wet. The pit lane looking pretty messy. and I think we're going to have quite a set of accidents and incidents going on tonight. This is treacherous for our drivers. Much respect to anyone that keeps it pointing in the right direction tonight. It's certainly not going to be easy. So the formation lap beginning. Merrin will Merrin will lead us away, of course. In the Williams, his teammate is Todd in 7th, so good start from them. The Alfa Romeos led by Alex Pato, the second of which is the other Alex YT. Could I say Alexi? Is that allowed? I don't know. He is sitting there in 13th. Then the Mercedes car of Prime, his teammate Tommy is down in 6th. Michiel for Aston Martin in 4th position. We've got Inters and Wets being told it's a viable strategy for the drivers. Now, I've seen Inters change for Inters. I rarely do I see Wets in action for a long period, and I have actually seen drivers run Inters for an entire race before now. Drax in 5th for Haas, and his teammate Ferry is at the back of the grid. He's joined late, so did not quali. There's Tommy, Todd, Instant, Michel's teammate, and then the two white Honda referencing Red Bulls around Suzuka of Fioretto and Chester. And then we've got the second of the Alpines, sorry, the first of the Alpines of Antivalo. His teammate has been disqualified from the session due to contact, I imagine. Radicals will start 12th. Everybody, of course, on intermediate tyres. Jack in the Ferrari is out there with Rockin, just 2 places ahead after that some sort of contact on the run, and a mistake from Jack turns the car around. That means he's also disqualified. Just discovering the limits of the traction. We've got Radicals, I think, has gone round with his teammate passing him on the way to the grid, and then the McLarens with by far the worst of the qualifying of any team, down there in 18th and 19th. Livernow leads Purple Snack, and as I mentioned before, Ferry will start the race from the very back of our grid. For some reason, there are people paying to go in the Ferris wheel in this weather and with at the race start time. We get a look directly down the visor of Prime and see his choice of helmet tonight, and we're ready to go racing. It's lights out and go, go, go. Round 9 of the Race Spec Euro Tuesday series, and away from the lead we've got action and contact at the back. 3 cars turn round. That's Jack, Chester, both out of the race. Looked like also it was a Red Bull. Yeah, it was Chester that was turned round. Safety car immediately. We barely got round 1 or 2 corners. Barely. Well, we didn't make it round 1 corner with the action at the back of the grid. Let me just get another view of that, if I can, on the stream. But yeah, pretty shocking getaway from the drivers as things stand. We see several cars up 5 places. Just viewing back the getaway on the grid. Looks like it was actually the Red Bull that lost it first, pitched into the Alpine, who has survived. Antivalo survived the first corner, but it was Jack who ran into trouble. By the look of what was on the stream, it was the Red Bull that lost it first, Chester, but we will wait to see any issues as reported by the drivers after the race, and I'll let you know if there were any stewards' decisions to rule on. But Chester and Jack, passion teammates across F1 teams at least, both out of the start of the race, and would be surprised if Antivalo has survived that contact without damage. He sort of rear-ended the wall and was sideswiped, but looking fairly stable at the front. Prime up 1, Alex down 1, Drax up 1, Michelle down 1. But they're 4 cars still where they started. But it's Antivalo who is the surviving driver who has got the who's lost the most places, of course, after that beginning. I think all the debris and cars have been cleared already, so I'm not quite sure why we get a safety car. It should have been a VSC, really, in my view. Libanow saying I think Passion Jack clipped his front right. Libanow was in the middle and couldn't do anything about it. I mean, Libanow, he's up 6 places, so hopefully not too much of a problem. Rockin is in the pits. I wonder if he suffered damage through that issue. We've got the Aston Martin safety car was apparently scheduled to be shipped out to Suzuka for the run. So another thing I think perhaps might be a good idea would be to have a different locally produced supercar used for the safety car countries that can do it, at least. Might be kind of cool, but that's just another idea to file away. The track looking very greasy, with the rain continuing to fall at a similar rate that we've seen from the very beginning. We've only made it round 1 racing corner, and I hope that's not a portent of things to come. I believe we max out at 5 safety cars, so hopefully we won't be heading anywhere near that one. Believe it or not, I have seen it, but let's hope that's not the case. You can see the cranes that litter the hyper efficient Japanese Marshall clearing systems that they use. Looks like the lights have remained on the safety car, which I'm gonna provisionally blame the gap from the back of the field to where Rockin was currently at. That seems to be the case, at least from my experience, that it's the rearmost driver and his gap to the back of the field, or at least the gap from the safety car to the rear of the field, is the one that governs whether the safety car comes in or not, especially when the debris and the cars have been cleared visually. But we will go round again. Do make sure, if you're watching the video and right now, that you like the video for us, share it on socials if at all possible. Make sure you subscribe to Race Spec Esports, because there's racing all through the week, all kinds of different hours of the night and day. If you're in our time zone and you can't sleep one night, there's bound to be some kind of racing on, especially in the Pacific series through the night, and the Americas series. Yeah, do make sure that you tune in to the Race Spec Esports outputs. And as I said before, if you're enjoying the commentary, you can go ahead and subscribe to my updates. I will always post on Twitter when I am running a stream. That's Webo Red 5 on Twitter. A big thank you to everybody who has already subscribed recently. It's much appreciated. So the car's continuing to warm the tyres. We won't need to do a great deal of warming. They don't want to overcook these inters, because they'll want to be able to use them for as long as they possibly can. I thought for a moment the rain had eased off, but it was just the camera angle. No, the rain continues to drop just as heavily as before. Marin leads the field from Prime and Alex Pato. Marco, as you may know him from the forum, from the Discord, excuse me. And then we have Drax, Michelle, Tommy, Todd, Instant, Pareto, Radical, Alexi, Libnow, Purple Snack. The McLaren's moving up in unison, and Ferry, but it was Garbage Man, Stitch, Varlo, Rockin, all suffered as a result of that first start-finish straight, the first 2 or 3 gears of launch. A penalty goes out to Stitch. This is quite normal for these these periods, and he might be able to appeal to get that removed. Merin tentatively launches here away from the grid, and Alex goes with Prime, but the gap has opened up, and in fact Drax is looking very likely to make a move. Screams down the inside of the first corner, continues to move into the second part, and it's done. And a great restart from Drax. You saw a slight hesitance on the throttle from Alex Pato, who drops another place overall, and we've made it through the S's for the leaders just about, and we go into Dunlop. The final of the S corners is incorrectly banked, or it's negative camber at least, and that causes an issue. I think Tommy's had a spinola potentially down there and is dropping down the order. Let's go and quickly see if we can't see him. Oh, he's battling to get back on terms and get back into rhythm as he goes through into Degner 1 and comes out again of Degner 2, and he just about held on. So Tommy down to 12th, but his teammate Prime is in second place. Michel now catching Alex Pato, I think. Potentially not quite. He's still a second away. It's Alex is half a second back from Drax. Alexi is dropping down the order. Obviously had an issue and is struggling right now. Prime 6/10 back from the lead. Drax 7/10 back from him. And then this battle, we see Alex just eager to get that position back from Drax, who got him into the first corner and on the restart. Prime it is, with the first fastest lap, the first actual racing lap that we've had on lap 5. Pit stop for Radicals. I don't know if that will be a damage repair or just speculative change of tyre compound. He's gone back onto intermediates, so yeah, I'm sure that was a damage issue. We've lost Stitch, and Stitch is lost, triggers a safety car. You can see him on the exit of the hairpin, so we'll try and get a glimpse of his car from the perspective of Merin, who comes through the Degners. So it looks like potentially Radicals has lost the car on traction out of the hairpin, as we saw Livnow do on the way. Sorry, excuse me, Stitch lost the car, so look out for the car. Should be turned around on the left, and then we just saw it just before it was deleted by the game, not lifted out of the way by a crane, but it was deleted, and I think that was probably what happened. We go around for another safety car, unfortunately. My apologies, but do stay with us, because we will see drama through the remaining 22 laps of this race. So it looks like Stitch saying that he actually hit the back of Garbage Man, saying that, apologising, and he braked too late. Merin wants to be careful here not to overshoot the delta. Nothing to be gained from going too fast on the lead up to the safety car, but does he decide to do a pit stop? He does not. Neither does Prime or Drax or Alex Pato. So the car's just about deciding consistently to stay out. Try and catch anybody making a different decision. Radical and Alexi certainly won't, but here comes Antovalo in the pits. I don't know if anybody's feeling like it's a good idea to change compound. There's Antovalo. Garbage Man comes into the pits, so the Alpine team boss has clearly told his drivers to come in for new tyres. Radical, I'm sure, won't pit at this point. I don't know if he'll get out in front of the Alpines, who will, well, one of them is on his way out. It's Antovalo on his way out of the pits and has rounded the first corner, so managed to keep a position on Radical, but Alexi, potentially Garbage Man, had to stack there for them both making the same decision, so that could be what's happened. The rain, as I say, continuing to fall. No change in intermediate tyres decisions for the drivers. Just one penalty to consider at the moment. It's a drive-through for Antovallo, who was speeding under the last safety car. Now, this is a difficult problem for him. No, it must have been speeding under this safety car, yes. There's a problem for him here in that if we spend too long under this safety car period, he could end up getting disqualified. So he needs to take this. He needs to take the drive-through at the very instant the safety car decides to come in. If we run too long, I have unfortunately seen drivers disqualified for not taking their drive-through while there was a safety car out there. Merin again getting very close to the back of the safety car. I've also seen a driver smash into the safety car and wipe himself out of the race. So, like I say, nothing to be gained from hassling Bernd Mailander. He famously will not go any faster, as much as it doesn't matter how much people pressure him or whinge on the radio. He's not a driver to be persuaded to take additional risks. Speaking of risks, Drax throwing the car around to keep the tyres warm. Shouldn't be too difficult on 6-lap old Inters, although these laps potentially the actual age of these tyres is more akin to a 2 or a 3-lap old tyre after all the safety car laps that we've had so far. Waiting on the Alpine to catch the back of the tail, and that should be on target to catch its garbage man right at the back, but he should be able to catch up the rest of the drivers and hopefully will be headed back to green flag racing at the end of this lap. Is that Libno and Tommy just getting a little too close to one another? Overlap, underlap, and it's okay now. Looks like they've sorted themselves out. Drivers have to be so careful through the restart procedure. It's so easy to crash into another driver who's doing burnouts or slamming on the brakes to warm the fronts. Another thing that's quite possible is to be playing with the brake bias and then forget to set it back to what you want, and end up with well, if not brake magic pressed on a restart, at least it's a wrong brake bias. Come on, safety car. Hope we get the notification in a second. The lights are still on though. Let's turn them off, shall we? Approaching the final chicane. Should be about now. No. Yes, finally, yes, we do. We for some reason Radical went to the back of the grid. I think he may have had an issue on that most recent lap. Now this is where things start to get dicey. Prime away equal to Merin. But again, Drax very good on the restart, right up the backside of Prime as they head into turn 1. Cars going through relatively smoothly at the moment. Looks like they've survived that restart fairly well, but Drax with great tyre warm-up and good confidence on those cold tyres certainly knows what he's doing when it comes to restarts. So one to watch. Drax doing a great job. And is now challenging for second position after being 5th prior to the previous restart. Didn't get the most out of Dunlop though. And now Alex is on the charge. Towards the hairpin they go. Cars just all coming down. Just wonder if anyone's going to launch one into the hairpin. No, things looking fairly safe. The field is really spread out at the back of the grid, and Radicals is out, and Alexi has gone from the session as well. We've just lost Alexi, whose car appears to still be travelling. Let's have a look from the perspective of Radicals as he comes round this hairpin. Look out to see where Alexi's car is stranded. It looks like it's just gone in time, but we've managed to stay on green flag racing, thankfully. But we lose another car on lap 9. We're down to 16 drivers. Merrin with the fastest lap from Prime, and Drax, who's dropped back from Prime now that he's got his rhythm back and he's got his tyres up to temperature. Alex doing a good job here. Ferry getting by Purple Snack further down the field, it looks like. And then the Aston Martins in 5th and 6th doing very well at the moment, with Todd in 7th, Libnow in 8th, Furetto in 9th, and Tommy is in 10th place. So a pretty good positioning for the Mercedes team as well. Again, big field spread at the back of the grid. Antivalo and Radical having their issues. I think they're struggling to keep the car on the track and having little off moments at the front of the grid. The cars are around a second apart. Instant is slightly further back, but pretty much drivers are all pretty close to one another. Libnow looking like the closest car to another on track, behind Todd in the Williams. I don't think in the wet conditions without DRS it's worth watching cars closer, further away than half a second potentially. Libnow just stretching out. Don't think he's going to get anything done here. Do have slightly closer battles just further back as Libnow runs very wide through 130R. As I said in qualifying, that corner takes on a whole new meaning when it comes to the wet conditions or when the tyres are dying off. Prime gets a 39.7 fastest lap so far, and it's Tommy who has got a slipstream on Furetto, but it will need to be super brave into turn 1, possibly rocking with an issue on the start finish line. Tommy didn't need to do anything because Furetto lost it on entry to turn 1, so Tommy gains a place, and this is where cars are being caught out on their way out of the casino triangle and into turn 1. The track changing with every lap that goes by. Closer up to the front, Alex Pato hounding down Drax for this podium pace, leaving a little bit of apex begging on the way through Degner 2. Welcome anyone joining us on stream. I don't know if that's our drivers who have retired. Do let me know what happened to your race from your perspective, if you can, please, drivers. I haven't seen any debriefs for a while, since the first safety car in fact. But Drax heading into Spoon with Alex Pato just behind. And there's a second gap at the front between Merrin and Prime. 2 seconds between Drax and Prime, and here's Alex Pato, less than a second behind. Changing down a gear to 7th for 130R in the rain, just for better stability. Slightly higher revs. Merrin with a 39.6, lowers the bar again. Do any of our leading drivers have anything to say about that? I think they will later in the race if they choose to stop for intermediates. It's lap 11 of 27. Of course, the tyres much younger than their reading after 2 safety car periods, but hopefully that's us done and dusted for looking at that safety car again. I think I've seen a lifetime of safety cars during this this first season on the F1 2021 game, but Alex just drifting away from Drax slightly here, flirting with warning through Degner 1, surviving it though. Still one of the closest battles here, and we've also got Libnow closing on Todd, but stuck around the half a second mark. Any closer than that under these conditions and the car will start to wash out in the fast corners, like Spoon here, like the S's, Dunlop, and through 130R especially. The aero washout is huge. You just felt it there, riding on board with Alex Pato. It's tricky and difficult. Welcome to George Morgan. Great to have you on the stream. How are you, my friend? Certainly someone that inspires me to be a better commentator. Great to have you with us. So far, car's just stabilising the gap, although Lib now looking like he might be able to do something about Todd ahead for P7. Lib now tucked up behind him. The gap dropping down as they head towards turn 1, but again, still just not close enough to make any kind of move, but it's good enough to pressure. It's good enough to pressurise the Williams into making a mistake potentially, and you can see the threat of danger is ever present in Suzuka, whether it's wet or dry, but doubly so in these conditions. It's terrible out there. We've already lost 4 of our drivers. We're only on lap 12. A penalty for Instant right now. Just track extension. Easily done, especially through the Degners round here. Just keeping an eye on the gap up at the front. This is turning into a 3-way battle for P7 between Todd, Libnow and Tommy. But it's Alex Pato closing in on Drax still for that last podium position. Trying to keep an eye on 2 different battles at once for you. Not easy. Hats off to the drivers for high quality driving so far. It's really been a showcase of patience and accuracy through these difficult corners. It's a narrow track. It's very, very slippery offline. Merrin again. Another fastest lap for Merrin. That's a lot quicker. So really getting into the groove, or potentially the track improving, but I think it's more to do with Merrin just burning the fuel off and maximising his laps. Alex, the gap at for P3 and 4. Alex has just gone out to 9/10 as they go through the S's, and you see it again. Absolutely love these pensive, hypnotic times on tracks like Suzuka, where the gaps just open and close, and you're just waiting for the next problem to strike somebody, or the next brave move. Let's go back to the battle just ahead for Alex and Drax. Let's see how the car's handling on board. You can see the raindrops settling on the halo. How does the car feel through Spoon? Fairly planted, I think. Dry line starting to settle in. We've got enough runners on the track for a dry line to form. But Drax just keeping it smooth, just keeping it clean. Radicals gets by Rockin. That didn't look like a gap that was really there to be exploited, so I wonder if Rockin's had another issue. He's had some trouble staying on track. Oh, Alex, a moment on the way out of the final corner. Almost looked like he was going to hit the pit wall, but saved it. So good save, my man. A pit stop then for Instant. Is this the first of the pit stops to try out the new intermediate tyres? And the drivers will be watching Instant's times, if at all possible, with a very keen eye to see exactly what kind of speed he's got. Todd and Libnow have actually started to catch Michi out, who's dropped back slightly. So that's an interesting development. Instant change for new set of inters. As we've said before, we've seen drivers go the entire race on a single set of intermediate tyres if they're feeling good on them, and the track is slowly improving, but I don't think the track is improving all that much. Maybe there are gains to be made if you can get a new set of boots on. But what kind of times is Instant doing? He's got a 6.7 gap to the car in front, so that's our reference point to watch as the next couple of laps progress. How hard does he want to push on these fresh tyres? It's like 14 of 27. Just hit the halfway point. So lots to go in this Suzuka race. Round 9 of our championship. Armchair Bike missing from tonight's race, our championship leader, and the guys at the front will be desperate to capitalise on him being missing. The guys like Merin Prime. Even Alex Pato is able to challenge towards the front of the championship. And Armchair Bike, if he... Oh, we got a safety car. Safety car for another failure, and it's another Ferrari. It's Rockin again. I'm sorry to say, Rockin has gone from the curve between the hairpin and spoon, the sort of straight curve, I guess, just there near the number 2. You can see the red dot of the Ferrari out of the race. We will hit our 3rd safety car, and I'm fairly certain now that it'll be that Merin will decide to go into the pits. We've seen so many cars out of the race on the exit of this hairpin, either through contact or through problematic traction. Unfortunately, the car just got rid of on the track before we got there with Merin. But let's watch our leaders, because the gaps will be neutralised until they get to the safety car, and then they will, of course, get in and be able to take a cheap pit stop regardless, while the rest of the drivers are circulating. Now, does any of the top 4 here, who are in a group of their own, the gap to Michiel in the Aston has dropped down to 10, maybe 11 seconds. Do any of our top 4 decide to stay out potentially and keep track position? It would probably not work out for them. I fully expect to see at least the top 10 come in for new tyres, as the bottom 4 have already done so. They got the call for the safety car early enough. In comes Merin and Prime. Drive with Drax. Yeah, Drax in. Alex does stay out. Wow, brave move from Alex. Just what I was hoping for, a different strategy. So Alex staying out. Alex Pato from P4. He wasn't able to get by Drax on pure pace, so he's going to try and keep the position just by not pitting at this point. So a brave decision for Alex. It could come to him later if it doesn't work. And Garbage Man makes the same decision as Alex, although he's on much younger inters. So yeah, George saying could be looking at wets. It's quite possible. No one's made that leap just yet, but it's always an opportunity. Usually from the drivers out of the points will take that gamble, won't they? But really a welcome surprise, I guess, that Alex has elected to stay on those inters. So that's definitely going to give us some intrigue and hopefully give us some passing. Because we have not been spoilt with passes, have we? Drax on his restarts has been electric, but apart from that, it's mostly been through incidents and accidents that we've lost drivers rather than passing. So still, I'm not one of those F1 fans that only believes overtaking is the only way to have a fun race. It's nice, but I do enjoy watching drivers pushing to the limit. Oh, talking of limits, round goes Merin off the track. He won't want to do that. I wonder if that's just an issue warming up the inters. Alex's inters will warm up faster than the cars behind him, but he will then have no end of difficulty keeping these guys behind unless his inters are in a really sweet spot. That's definitely something to be aware of. So really intriguing to see the second half of this race and what Alex's plans are. But lap 16, Alex inherits the lead from not pitting from Merin and Prime, who were your leaders. Then Drax, who famously got past Alex on the last restart, but he's dropped down to 4th. Then Garbage Man on lap 10 of his tyres. He's gone 10 places up, but is one pit stop away from the rest of the field. However, Libnow has made up loads of ground in the race, up 10 places from his start, down currently in 10th. Between Galbuschman and Libnow, we've got the two Aston Martins who've been stuck together all session. Then in 9th is Todd in the Williams. Tommy's in 10th. Fioretto, Ferry, Purple Snack, Antivalo and Radical at the back of the grid, with a fair few incidents through this session. Hopefully he will catch the back of the tail right now, and we will get racing again. No further pit stops on the second opportunity for the drivers. We've just got that one penalty for instant. It did appear that Antivalo was able to serve that drive through successfully, but in terms of penalties to account for, just instant at the moment. So we have caught the rear of the field. Radicals has caught the rear of the field. I'm hoping that that means we will get back to racing shortly, because the car's no longer no longer stranded. There's no debris on the circuit. Drivers just experiment. You can see Drax just experimenting with the inside line on the exit of the hairpin. I wonder if that's foreshadowing of things to come. He certainly had reasonable grip out there. But we've appreciate everybody's patience for sticking with us through the safety car periods. Lots of action, but oh, we've got, in fact, Haas of Ferry has made a mistake, and he could be responsible for holding the safety car up. He's right at the back of the field now. It was a lot better than that earlier on. He's just going through 130R now. Very narrow, difficult in the wet. You've seen cars just downshifting one to get through here in the wet conditions, and especially if they're following another car. But Alex now gets a turn at a restart. He will have seen how Merrin has handled it previously, and he goes right now, in fact. So Merrin and Prime will go with him. I don't think they're close enough. Merrin might have a go. He'll have superior braking if the tyres are up to temperature, but a voyage into the unknown as we head into turn 1 on this restart with the cold tyres. Will the rest of our cars make it through safely? A lot of caution being deployed, thankfully, but a gap has started to form further down the field at the moment. But right at the front, the cars, you can throw a blanket over all 4 of the leaders again. They've swapped the order, but they are in a pace delta of their own at the moment, with actually Alex Pato getting away. I think those worn-in intermediates just warming up slightly better than the 3 behind him, and he's making the most of that situation for as long as he can. The race will come back to the 2nd, 3rd and 4th drivers here, and down in the hairpin. Can everybody make it out of the hairpin alive again? Yes, they do. It's actually Prime looking closer to Merrin this time than Merrin is to Alex Pato. But cars surviving this restart lap so far, which is exactly what we want to see. Let's see how the car's feeling through 130R. Big lift from Prime, but he stays in 8th gear for lower revs, lower torque going through the rear of the car. Alex has got great traction out of that final corner. I think those tyres are working pretty well for him. You saw him just pull a gap on Merrin comfortably, quicker as the 4 cars barrel into turn 1 again. I keep expecting someone to get that turn 1 wrong. It looks like Antivalo has dropped into the pits, so has Radical. Antivalo's retired. He's had enough tonight, but he's done exactly the honourable thing and retired in the pit lane, so our appreciation to him for that one. It's very hard to do when you're feeling pretty fed up with life and the game, but he's done a great job. Radical, I'm just waiting to see, does he fit a different compound of tyres here? Does he fancy a risk? Either way, it's going to be a risk, but he can gamble. He's gone in the pits. He's gone through. Still on those tyres. I don't think he changed tyres. In fact, it might just be damage being repaired. But it's Antivallo, I think, didn't retire in time on the pit entry, and his ghost will remain with us on the track, sadly. Drax now looking feisty, and they head towards 130R. Again, I love watching the cars go through here. A downshift for him, and he gains slightly on Prime in so doing. Down into the Cassia triangle for the 19th time. This race, despite the safety cars, really seems to have flown by for me. Really enjoying it tonight. A fastest lap for Merrin, another 3/10 quicker. Radical has retired from the session, and he's out on the exit of Degna 2, sorry. And a torrid time that Radical has had tonight. We're down to now 13 drivers, and sadly, oh boy, we go to number 4 on the safety car. Does that mean that Alex goes for it? Alex lost out to Merrin in the first or second corner there. So does that trigger Alex to come in now? It will give up a lot of track positions, I fancy. But Radicals on Degna 2, exited Degna 2 under the bridge, lost the car, and unfortunately we go round again. Now the only thing that's going to save Alex here is if the guys go in front of him, but I really don't think they will. So he may have to stick with this strategy and hope for another caution later or a change in conditions. Alex down to second. We did see his first restart lap. He was strong, so maybe there's an opportunity there to get his track position back. But it depends how aggressive he's feeling, how hungry he is for a win versus a strong finish in second place. All depends on the mood of the driver in the helmet, or not in the helmet sometimes on this game, as we've seen many drivers start without a helmet on. But yeah, my apologies for another safety car. I think we were all expecting safety cars tonight, especially when we saw the weather forecast, but perhaps not quite this many. Lap 21, we'll have a nice sprint to the finish, I'm sure, which is always fun to watch. The rain staying with us. I don't think we're going to get a drying up of the track. I think it's just going to be consistent drizzle all the way through our race. But on lap 21, Merrin has the lead from Alex Pato and Prime. We see Drax in 4th. Garbage Man has made up 10 positions from his starting place and is doing a great job. He also, I think, elected not to pit last caution out. We have the Aston Martins Michel and Instant in 6th and 7th. Instant with a 3-second penalty to serve. Then Libanau also up 10 places in P8. I'm sure he'll be pleased with his progression so far, but hungry for more. Tommy, Todd, Furetto, Purple Snack and Ferry makes up our 13 car grid. Furetto has a 3-second penalty as well, unfortunately, but the field is all nice and close together here. I'm hoping no one else makes a mistake or runs into another car. I think we've had one safety car contact pair of penalties so far this race, and with 4 safety cars, that's no mean feat. So credit to the drivers for behaviour under the safety car. I know that they're given a good strict talking to from the steward before the race, before each round about, and it mentions that almost always, so it's drilled into them by round 9 of the championship, but all the same, looking good for them. We will see the safety car in this lap, which is good news. So we will have a 6-lap sprint to the end, and then things often get crazy when there's a short sprint to the end of the race. Everyone's got plenty of ERS. Everyone's ready to get racing. And how strong will Alex be on this restart lap on the older tyres? He was strong last time. Maybe Garbage Man will be in a similar position. Merrin going as soon as possible on the final corner with a nice gap. But Drax again on the attack, gets past Prime. Beautifully done. He knows where he can push on the restart, and he's right on it. Drax up to P3, caught Prime unawares or with cold tyres potentially, but Drax on the restart, he's very, very dangerous, and he's done it. He's up to P3 again. Beautiful stuff from Drax. The rest of the cars managing this section nicely. Libanow has gained another place. It looks like we lost instant, unfortunately, through that restart procedure, but Libanow up a place. Michel, the lone Aston Martin, now in 6th place, doing a good job. And up at the front, Prime still staying with Drax as much as possible, but Alex has been dropped slightly from Merrin, and we've seen this before with Merrin. He knows when to enter hammer time, and he's on it. Wow, Drax absolutely risking all with 2 wheels on the grass on the approach to Spoon. That was very brave, or a misjudgment potentially, but doing a great job nonetheless. He certainly knows his way around Suzuka, and isn't afraid to use the grass in the wet. So we go down to 5 racing laps to run. So stick with us, anything can happen here, and we know it usually does in the last couple of laps of a race, especially when we've got frustrated safety car constrained drivers as we battle towards the end. Michel looking good. He got a great run through the final chicane, and will he launch one into turn 1? Will the Alpine go defensive? He doesn't feel the need to defend, takes his normal line, and Michel taking a slightly tighter line to avoid aero washout, but he leaves himself vulnerable to Libanow. There's no way through on the S's for the drivers. It's one-way traffic through here, single file through the long Dunlop left-hander. Oh, Libanow! Is that Libanow out or just hit the wall? He hit the inside wall on the Dunlop corner. He's obviously struggling for grip, and he's down. I think there might be an element missing from his front wing, and he can't get the car turned into corners. So Libanow, after an amazing drive up the grid, unfortunately ruins it going through Dunlop, and drops down to P10. Will that be even worse, or is he able to drive around the problem? He's feeling the car on the way into Spoon. It's not doing quite what he wants it to do, but up at the front, it's closing up in the battle for 2nd and 3rd. 3/10 separates each of the 2 drivers. Will Drax launch this one? Oh, he was thinking about it, and Alex is going defensive as well. So Alex might well take the inside line on the way into turn 1. Yes, he pulls in towards the Honda wall, as it appears to be the pit wall. Drax goes to the outside of turn 1. Can he hang on? Alex tries to run him wide, does so. That seems fair, but we go for number 5 on the safety car as we see Garbage Man out of the race. So another strong performer through our race has unfortunately lost it. I can't quite believe we're on safety car 5, but we are, sadly, guys. We must have been right on the cusp for not having another safety car, but Alex, again, be tempted to pit, but he'll lose every position he's got. Look at the field spread after just, what, 3 laps under racing conditions. Definitely a field of 2 groups tonight, possibly 3, as Ferry is a long way back, and although I feel like maybe he got caught in the Garbage Man issue. Down to 11 runners, so I'm really sorry to see Libanow drop down and to see Garbage Man drop out after their strong races for the vast majority of this race. Sadly, it's Merrin. Not sadly, it's Merrin, but sadly we're down to 11 runners, and Merrin leads from Alex Pato on super old tyres. He's run every lap of the race on these tyres. I'm sure he fancies fancies managing to do it. Libnow says we've had more time behind the safety car than actual racing. That's not a bad shout, my friend. I've had at least, what, 12 laps under the safety car. So it'll be just on the bubble, I think. It's been a very, very difficult race for the drivers, and for the 11 cars still running, much respect and kudos goes to them, because it's no mean feat. It's very difficult to keep your focus, to keep your rhythm, and to continually go from safety car back to racing conditions. Now, I don't think we were able to have another one after this. I think that's the limit as far as the game is allowed, and we're going to hit lap 26 anyway, and it will come in. I'm fairly sure at the end of this lap, or yeah, certainly the end of this lap. I'm as certain as I can be that we have to have 2 racing laps at the end of a race. But Merin, Alex, Drax and Prime are your leading 4, and they've swapped positions a few times, but it's never been in doubt between that it's going to be one of these 4 that wins this one. Furetto still with the only penalty. Doesn't seem to be a track that breeds a lot of penalties. You either stay on the track or you crash out, it seems. There's no real safe runoff areas. Maybe on the outside of turn 1 is quite safe. You can get the Casio triangle wrong and still make it through, but and Spoon, I guess, has got to run off, but those are all on the outside of the track. It's difficult to track extend. Maybe the Degners might be somewhere that you see track extension, but yeah, that's usually holding onto the car rather than pushing through the Degners, as we've seen. But Libnow is still 18 seconds off the back of the safety car after his issue. I think he pitted for damage and new tyres. Ferry pitted as well, so they might be strong quickly after the restart. But the restart, we will have the safety car heads into the pits. I'm begging for the final time of our race, and we're on our way for yet another Merin restart. He's had 4 of the 5 tonight, I think, so he's well practiced at it. But is that a good or a bad thing? We'll see. Alex away from the final corner, needing to be defensive. In fact, he lost traction and he's going to be super vulnerable. Will Drax do it around the outside this time? He tried to do it the first time, but he needs a much better overlap. They go through into turn 1 and Drax can't get it done. He just needs to be cautious here. There will be more opportunities around the lap, but Alex trying to hold on by the fingertips to what would be a famous result as Merin goes wrong. Wow! Who would have predicted Merin turning round on the S's of all places? Merin loses the car from the lead of the race and is down to P11. Boom goes the championship wide open, and Alex Pato on 25 lap old intermediate tyres has the lead of the race once again, and he's gapping the Haas as Prime looks to be aggressive on the back of Drax. He's got his nose up the inside through the exit of the hairpin, and Prime making a massive nuisance of himself for Drax. Prime smells a victory, but this could in the end nullify the battle for the win. I told you guys not to go anywhere, and I'm so glad you didn't, because it's an absolute sting in the tail of this Suzuka race as the cars go for their 5th restart of the race, and Merin got it all wrong through the S's, lost the lead. He's down to P11. I don't know if he got damage or not. He hasn't got round to the pits. I suspect he has, looking at the gap. But Alex has to hold on for one more lap. Can he get the final corner better than the last time? Can he defend to the inside? He defends already. He's weaved to the inside. Drax will be keen to take that inside line. Would he feint to the outside? He does. So Alex keeps the inside line on the way into turn 1. Takes the traditional line. Keeps the car on the track. Drax trying all desperately to get around the car. We'll ride with Drax because this is it. This is where it is for everybody. Alex will certainly be aware of where he's been able to hold off Drax easily, where it's been more difficult, but super cautious as they go through the S's after Merin's accident. And Alex, a little gap now opening up. Can he hold on through the Degners? Can he hold on through the hairpin? I desperately hope so, because this is going to be one heroic run to the end of the race. Alex, 26 laps, the entire race on a single set of tyres. Wow, they're really crying enough on the way out of the hairpin. He's derating as well on the way towards Spoon. Alex has just got a few corners to hold on to. Caution now is the only way to play this one. He's got to take the middle of the road. He's got to be cautious as hell as he goes out on the way out of Spoon, heading towards 130R. Drax catching all the time as they gets down to 2/10 through 130R. No, Alex, no! Weaves all over the place. Alex managed to just about hold on to the inside line through the corner, but Drax takes the outside through the Casio triangle, and it looks like Drax on the final corners of the race wins in Suzuka. Alex Pato lost it on the way through 130R, unfortunately for him, but held on bravely to dying tyres to get second place and Prime in third. What a finish to the race. Michiel gets fourth for Aston Martin. Tommy, Prime's teammate, in fifth, showing a great result for Mercedes tonight. We've got Todd for the Williams in sixth. Fioretto gets seventh place. Purple Snacks in the McLaren gets eighth, and we are done with our race tonight. And that was a series of sprints and a lot of safety car, but Purple Snacks gets driver of the day. Forget all of that. I say Alex Pato gets driver of the day for hanging on right to the very end. But wow, that one was all over the place. Breathless finish to the race, and Drax, he had some great restarts tonight, and he made the move count, made the move when it mattered most. Alex has got to be a little disappointed to lose the lead on the final corners of the race, but when he reflects on making the Inters last the whole race long, I'm sure he'll be pleased with the night's driving. What a tremendous job he did. What a tremendous job our drivers did to finish this race out. Merin got the fastest lap, but that means he won't get the point because he's down in 11th place. Did get a classified finish. And it's Drax for Haas who wins. Drax for Germany as well, and the APSR team. Then Alex Pato for Alfa Romeo gets that second place, 3/10 back after being passed round the outside of the Casio triangle and making, unfortunately, a little mess out of 130R on those dead tyres. Prime for Finland and Mercedes in third. Michiel and Tommy, then Todd and Fioretto. Purple Snack with driver of the day performance, with Ferry and Libanow getting the final point of the race. Did get a classified finish, likewise Merin in 11th, who lost it there. Garbage Man, Instant, Radical, Varlo, Rockin, Alexi, Stitch, Jack and Chester. We lost earlier stages of the races, and most of those people were responsible for the many safety cars that we suffered. Merin saying it just wasn't fun. I wonder if it would have been fun if he'd have won it, but yeah, Alex very conflicted at the end of that race, and you can well imagine. He says he doesn't know how he saved it, but there's an awful lot of F words coming out in the forum. Hats off, not least to Alex for hanging on there, but remember that he's the tier coordinator as well, the host of the session, and gives up a lot of his practice time to help run this particular tier. So our thanks go to him, our thanks go to the stewards and everybody else involved in the running of the Race Spec Esports Discord and leagues. Thanks from me, Webbo, for tuning in tonight. Thanks to VIP guests that have been with us as well. You can follow my streams at WebboRed5 on Twitter. You can, of course, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to like the video on your way out, please, guys. And we'll make sure that you tune in to the same race, same time next week for more of the same, more of this kind of craziness and a really intriguing championship battle for round 10. But until next time, guys, my gratitude to all of you, and I will catch you on the next race day.